IVM.
Hello and welcome back to Heal and Hearty, your show that makes you healed and hearty. I'm your host and health coach, Rachna Chachi, not Chachi. I treat lifestyle diseases, cancer and autoimmune conditions across 24 countries. Thank you so much for your love, messages, emails. This is one episode that has had the maximum number of questions. It's November, guys, World Diabetes Month. Type 2 diabetes is spread far and wide in our country, and it increases the risk of kidney failure, different types of cancers and sudden death. That is why it's called a silent killer. So what is it about this disease that makes it spread so much? Type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disease, and if your parents had it and you have it, it does not mean that you are genetically prone to it. It means that the lifestyle followed in your home is what is causing it. Even people who eat simple home-cooked vegetarian food end up having type 2 diabetes and then suffer from the multiple side effects of the disease itself, as well as the medications given. That is indeed sad, because over the last 11 years, every single patient who has come to us at Rachna Restores with type 2 diabetes has actually walked out completely reversing it. Yes, type 2 diabetes is reversible with your lifestyle and food changes. Whether you are on medications or not, you need to understand the fact that being on medication is not going to protect your kidneys, eyes, feet, and is not going to reduce your risk for cancer or heart disease. The only way to reduce these risks is to lead a better quality of life and reverse your type 2 diabetes with food and lifestyle changes. On the other side of the break, we have two wonderful guests. Chef Aniruddha Roy, executive chef at Taj, Bandra West, Mumbai, who took serious lifestyle changes and measures to manage his type 2 diabetes, along with his medications. And then we have Uday Nayak, IT entrepreneur and senior professional from Bangalore, who decided not to take medications and came to me to reverse his type 2 diabetes. And both of them have had miraculous results. How did they achieve these results? Can you incorporate them in your life and be free from diabetes? Yes, of course. Listen to their heartfelt journey of nurturing themselves out of this deadly disease. I'm going to grab my snack of mixed nuts, which reduces sugar spikes in the blood. You go grab yours, and I'll see you in just a minute.
Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Careers in the new podcast series presented by Accenture, and I'm your host Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay. In this podcast series, we'll get you the latest and greatest in the world of technology that's shaping the future of business as we know it. We're talking intelligent platforms, cloud, AI, blockchain, extended reality, and a whole lot more. Every fortnight on Wednesdays, we'll have for you a hot topic with expert speakers from Accenture talking about top trends in the space, how these are changing the world and creating growth across industries. And more importantly, we'll tell you how you can learn more, build your skills and expertise to grow and stay relevant in your career. Episodes out on the IVM Podcast app or wherever you get your podcast from.
Welcome back on this side of our special episode on type 2 diabetes, which affects 65 million Indians and can have an impact on your kidneys, on your eyes. And we also know about the diabetes foot. A lot of people have to amputate their foot. But is the story as gory? We have two wonderful guests with us in the studio. Both of them have actively worked towards changing their lifestyle to reduce the activity of type 2 diabetes, and extremely inspirational. So I will now invite Chef Aniruddha Roy, who is the executive chef at Taj Lands End, Bandra, Mumbai. Chef Roy has had 30 years of experience in the industry. He was a chef with Oberoi Hotels. He has worked with the likes of Gordon Ramsay. And last year in 2018, he was awarded Chef of the Year by Veer Sangvi and by Lonely Planet. Welcome, Chef Roy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
We could have not missed you under any circumstances with your inspirational journey of, trying to reverse your type 2 diabetes. It's so wonderful.
That's very kind of you to say so.
So you've had diabetes for how long now?
I think I was diagnosed 5 years back.
5 years back. And you went through the route of your conventional medication with the doctor, also blood pressure from what you told me.
That's right.
What was your single inflection point where you said, okay, I'm going to change my lifestyle?
Okay, so this might kind of sound a little weird, but I read a lot of spiritual books, and when I say spiritual, it's nothing to do with religion. But this is what I read when I read the Taittiriya Upanishad, and it says that our body is made of 5 sheets, and the 5 sheets are your Annamaya Kosha, which is your food, then it is the Pranamaya, which is your energy, and followed by your Manamaya Kosha, which is your mind, and that's governed by your Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is your knowledge. And if you can get all these 4 in sync, then you get the Anandamaya Kosha, which is the bliss. So it starts from food. Everything starts from food. And to do that, you need to first develop your thoughts. The thought governs your mind, and the mind allows you to make that distinction whether, to choose what to do and what not to do. And you make that split-second decision either to eat something or not, because the biggest challenge, especially in my profession, was that, I had this regular temptation.
Yes.
And it was very difficult to get over it. But if you can train your mind, and if you can govern your mind, and it allows you to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong, and a decision, I feel, is what Taittiriya Upanishad taught me, was that a decision is not about choosing between 2 things. Decision is about cutting out the option. So you get rid of an option, and then you are left with no choice but to do what is right.
That's wonderful. So you actually made your mind strong and put mind over matter.
Absolutely.
And that is the way actually to overcome most of our struggles and most of the traumas that we go through.
So in fact, I'll add to it.
Yeah.
In the Taittiriya Upanishad, they say there are 2 things. One is called Shreya, one is called Preya. Preya is something which is pleasurable. Shreya is something which is good for you. Generally, what is pleasurable is not good. And what is good is not pleasurable. So you need to find out, every time you have options, you need to find out what is good and what is pleasurable. So if I ask you that, would you like to get up in the morning, 4 o'clock, do pranayam, do yoga, go for a jog, eat the right kind of food, you will probably say yes. But if I ask you that, a winter morning in Delhi at 4 o'clock, would you like to get up? You'll say, no, most right. It's good for me, but I don't want to do it. So what do? You cut out the option, and that is get rid of the quilt.
Yes.
So it's about getting rid of the option. So you don't have an option. You need to.
So you used the power of your mind and then created a map for yourself where you got rid of any comforting options for yourself so that you could move ahead. That's a very strong mind, Chef Roy. I'm amazed.
Thank you.
Not too many people have, that willpower.
No, but, I was seeking happiness, and happiness was to get my health back in order. And I had to make these sacrifices, small sacrifices, like they say that delayed gratification actually brings happiness. So
that's an interesting point that you bring out. And you were mentioning earlier that in your profession, it becomes difficult. So, one is the pleasurable part and one is what is good for you. But for you, it was the third angle in terms of professionally, don't you have to taste stuff?
Yes, I do. But then so the only option for me was to impart knowledge and delegate that part of the work to people and create systems and processes so that there would be a set of people who would do it, and I would do it at random. So I reduced my intake of food here. And earlier, since I was around food, so I would pick up anything on the way. It was not work. It was like just unmindful.
Oh.
I became mindful about when I needed to taste something, I did it. But I did not have, one katori of it. I had 1 teaspoon of it. And so every time I did something, I was mindful about it, that this is something that I need to do, but I don't need to be greedy and have one full plate of it.
Yeah, great, very well put. But did you also do stuff like have a teaspoon and then spit it out later after you've tasted it?
No, I didn't. In fact, this is from my own personal experience that if you are mindful and careful about what you do, even if occasionally you have a sweet or a pastry or a chocolate, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't, it doesn't mean that your sugar levels are going to spike up. As long as you're mindful and you know what you're doing, you probably count your calories and...
Yeah, that's true. And manage your stress levels so your
Absolutely.
sugar spikes become less.
Absolutely.
So take us through a typical day that you have.
So I get up at 5:45 in the morning, and that's something my wife always complains because my first couple of hours in the morning are like timed absolutely. So I get up at 5:45 in the morning. I do my morning ablutions, and then sharp at 6:30 I sit for my meditation. I do transcendental meditation for half an hour. And then 7 o'clock, I go for my jog and walk. So it's intermittent jog and intermittent walk. I come back at around 7:45, 45 minutes of jogging and walking. And then I do 15 minutes of yoga, followed by 10 minutes of light weights that I do. And
Every day?
Every day. Okay. Without a break and no cheat days. So, and then I take my shower. I have my breakfast, which is every day again oats. I have oats or dalia, and then I do my morning puja, and I'm off to work.
So, what time are you off to work?
8:45. I reach workplace at 9.
Okay, so you live close to your workplace.
Yes.
In Bandra.
Yes.
Okay, and then through the day, what are you?
So. At around 11 o'clock, I have a fruit, usually an apple or something. And then at around 1:32, I have 2 chapatis and a sabzi, along with a glass of water with sabza seeds put in it. At around 4 o'clock, I have a little bit of a sprout salad, some walnuts, some almonds, and a little bit of flax seeds put in the salad. And then by 6:37 again I have a chapati and maybe 1 or 2 chapatis along with a sabzi or a chicken or whatever. And generally I try to finish off my dinner by 7:15, 7:20, at the most 7:30.
Okay, so do you not? I have seen a lot of diabetics who eat early. Late at night or early morning, the sugar levels dip. Has that happened to you?
No, so what I do is when I get back home, because I usually, again, another habit that I have is that I go back home and I have to read. Otherwise, if I don't read, I can't get sleep. So at night, I probably have a piece of a paneer or a cheese or something before I
go to...
Some protein. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
So that helps me to, you're right, if, otherwise what happens is morning when you wake up, your sugar levels suddenly plummet because you also take medicine. So this protein kind of helps to regulate the sugar level.
So listeners, Chef Roy's HbA1c, which is hemoglobin sugar, which is the correct marker for having type 2 diabetes, and it needs to be up to 5.7 in range. It was 10.5 when he started with this lifestyle change that he has just shared with us. And today his hemoglobin sugar level is 5.9, which is a drastic drop. And you've also lost weight in the process.
Yes, I have. I've almost lost 14 kilos.
Wow, that's amazing. So, and your blood pressure has reduced.
Yes. And I've been, when I was diagnosed with blood pressure, they put me on 2 medicines, Now the doctors reduced it to 1, and he said that we're going to watch you for a few months, and if things are okay, then we may have to take that off as well.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, God has been very kind, I would say.
I think the hard work has been yours. God has shown the path for sure, but the hard work has completely been yours. You've also got off some of your diabetic medications as well?
Yes, I have, indeed. I used to take Dimecron 60SR, Glycomet 500 twice a day, and a Volivo 0.2, which now is only down to Glycomet SR 500 twice a day. That's about it. Rest, everything has been taken off.
That's amazing. And you have a clear path of getting off these as well?
Yes, indeed.
Wonderful. So we hope to call you in our season 2 as well. But
Thank you.
Before we, wrap up, I would like to ask you to share with listeners 2 things. One is your experience with the transcendental meditation. You were talking about instant gratification with that. So what do you mean that you get instant gratification with transcendental meditation?
So I have done this experiment. I have a blood pressure monitoring machine at home. And so once I got curious and I wanted to test it out. So I got up in the morning, woke up in the morning, took my blood pressure readings. They were around 128/82. And then I sat for my 25 minutes of transcendental meditation. And immediately after that, I tested myself. My blood pressure was down to 112/71. So
wow.
So that's what it does to you in 25 minutes. And
yes. There is a Carnegie Mellon study where they have actually talked about 25 minutes of meditation just for 3 weeks starts repairing your DNA.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So it was demonstrated in the form of instant gratification in your blood pressure readings within those 25 minutes itself.
I think that's the only place where meditation really gives you an instant gratification, and it's helpful.
Yes.
Rest everywhere else, I think in life, instant gratification doesn't work. It's always delayed gratification which helps.
Yeah, so you were also talking about the study that was done about children who became adults and
yes. So this is you can Google it. This was this famous professor Walter Mischel who was in Stanford, and he got a bunch of children, all wards of professors at Stanford, and he huddled them in a room, and he said that he conducted this experiment where he said that, children, here is a marshmallow. You have 2 options. You can have it now. Or else I will be leaving the room, and when I come back, if you can hold on till then, you can have 2 of those, 2 marshmallows. So the option is yours. And he stepped out of the room, and most of the children, I think 85 to 90% of the children, decided to pop in the marshmallow. And the couple of children who did not and waited for him to come back to get those 2 marshmallows. So what he did was he tracked all these children for 25 years till they reached adulthood. And the interesting part of the experiment was that these children who delayed their gratification, who held on to their temptation and desire, they went on to become far more successful than the rest of the children. So, and this is recorded, and
yes.
I mean, this is not something that is a figment of my imagination. It's something you can go and check on Google, and it's a very, very famous experiment.
Yes. So, mind over matter, being patient, being mindful, not only reduces your diabetes activity, it also makes you an extremely successful person.
Absolutely.
Great. And the second part of my question was, and I'm very curious to know, when you eat, you're around food all the time, you're a celebrated chef. Can you give us some tips on certain tasty but healthy options? Give us some recipes. At least give us some dessert or some main course recipes for that.
So, for example, dessert, you could do a dessert with, you could probably make a bajra kheer. Use bajra, which is very, very healthy. Prepare a usual kheer the way it is prepared, and instead of sugar and sugar-free, add maybe date syrup, and
or jaggery.
Or jaggery. There is a jaggery which comes from Bengal, where I belong to, and it's called palm jaggery. It's usually harvested in the winter months, and it's artisanal. It's very healthy.
Wonderful.
And it's got a unique flavor of its own. So you can use that. And turns out to be it really is divine, I think.
So the next time I'm at Taj Lands and I'm going to ask for this. So yes.
So I mean, again, I come from Bengal. I like fish, and I used to love to gorge on fried fish. And then I realized that that's full of calories and full of fat. So what I do for myself is now I take the same fish, marinate in the same manner that you would otherwise, and just crumb it with Japanese panko crumbs and spray it with a little bit of olive oil, and put it in an air fryer. And instead of deep frying, just bake it, and it comes out nice and crispy because of the panko crumbs.
Yeah.
And it's tasty. It's almost exactly the same that you would otherwise get. The texture would be similar to what you would get if you had to deep fry it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Because the biggest thing with the deep fried thing is the crunchiness, and you're saying that stays maintained.
Absolutely.
Great. It's wonderful having you here in the studio, Chef Roy. Thank you so much for taking out time through your delicious day for us.
Thank you for having me here. It's really very, very kind of you.
Any message that you would like to give to diabetics struggling?
So, my only message is that, like I said, you have to be mindful, take out an hour every day for yourself, invest in yourself, exercise, do a little bit of meditation, do some yoga, replace refined carbohydrates with whole grain foods, and increase the intake of your vegetables and foods high in dietary fiber, and reduce the amount of saturated fat in your diet. These are few things that if you follow to the T, you'll be fine.
And make your mind strong.
Yes, you have to be mindful about everything
absolutely.
that you do in life.
Great. Thank you so much. That was Chef Roy from Taj Lands End. He's the executive chef at Taj Lands End, Bandra, Mumbai. On the other side of the break, we are going to have another guest, Uday Nayak, who is also a diabetic but chose not to take medications and only go through the nutritional and holistic healing path. Let's hear what his journey holds for him, and is he able to have the same wonderful, miraculous results as Chef Roy. So go grab your water, sip on it. You are dehydrated if you're sitting in the air-conditioned atmosphere, and I will see you in a bit.
Hi everybody, welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, I really don't know what to tell you at this point in time. I'm so disappointed in you. Please go follow us. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. On The Scene and the Unseen, Amit is joined by entrepreneur and author Jerry Rao. They talk about conservatism in India's own tradition, rather than as a Western thought. Guys, we have some really exciting news this week too. Our show, Advertising is Dead, has reached 50 episodes. This special occasion was marked with a live recording at the Glitch office. We had some really, really great guests for this episode as well. Rohan Joshi, the comedian, was there, as was actor, social media influencer, and co-host of Agla Station Adulthood, Ritasha Rathore. The episode drops on Tuesday, November 5th. Make sure you check it out. On Golgappa, Trupti is joined by Indrajit More, a content creator for Bhadipa and Bhatupa. They discuss traveling on a budget and so much more. On Football Shitball, hosts Gaurav, Karthik and Shiva round out the weekend's Premier League fixtures. And they give us a few predictions about the midweek UCL games. On The Habit Coach, Ashton talks about visualizing victory and shares 3 ways to increase mental toughness. This week on Boundless, Natasha tells us how she learned to keep it simple from her husband and how it took her a long time to listen to her own voice among the conflicting ones. On Gaby series, Sunetra and Farhad discuss their life in their 30s, and they share how it has made them confront their insecurities with more perspective. This week on a special episode of the Pragati podcast, Pawan talks to host of Pulyabazi Pranay Kotastane about State Formation Day and how states need to rise to the expectations of its residents. On Mr. and Mrs. Binge Watch, Janice and Anirudh continue their teen drama series, and this time they're talking about The Politician and Dear White People. And with that, let's get you on with your show.
Welcome back. I hope you have your glass of water with you to sip on. And we are still continuing with our episode on type 2 diabetes, which is affecting millions of people in India. You heard Chef Roy from Taj Lands End, and his inspiring story of how he has managed to control his type 2 diabetes, reduce his medications, and reduce his hemoglobin sugar. We are now joined from Bangalore with Uday Nayak, who is a technology entrepreneur and runs his own startup. Welcome, Uday, to our show.
Thank you, Rachna.
So Uday gets annual checkups done. He's 47 years old. He gets annual checkups done, which is a very good habit to have after the age of 40. But in the last annual checkup, he discovered something. And Uday, why don't you take us through what you discovered?
Yeah, see, I do my yearly physical, right? And last couple of years, actually, my blood sugar has been going up, actually. And last time when I did a full physical, which is last year, that's when I found out I have a type 2 diabetes, actually. And then it was a kind of shock for me. And adding to that, the doctors have suggested me to, have a medication to control the diabetes. I'm kind of a person actually who always wanted to, explore other alternatives actually, instead of simply taking the medication for every problem that I have.
Right.
So that's when my wife suggested to go talk to you, because she had a very good experience actually when she had diagnosed with the joint pain in 2014, right?
Right.
So that's when she suggested me to talk to you, and that's when the journey started with you for holistically taking care of the problem of diabetes instead of using the medication.
Very, very brave of you, Uday. So, listeners, when Uday got in touch with me, his HbA1c was 10.8, which is higher than what Chef Roy was when he decided to, take the path of holistic healing and lifestyle changes. But Uday actually refused to take medication and instead fix his lifestyle to reduce his hemoglobin sugar and reverse his type 2 diabetes. So how did you do that, Uday? Did you find it difficult in the beginning, and was there a very drastic change?
Well, so it was not difficult, but it is a little bit challenging actually, because all I had to do was plan a day before actually, because I got the chart, right, and then whatever the next day's the diet ingredients, actually I was making sure that I have it. I used to check in advance, one day before. So that little bit of planning was made my life easier to follow the chart that you suggested. And even the kind of the dietary restriction that you suggested, those are like easily available. Like even when I was traveling to US, even there I was able to follow the diet actually according to your chart. So the ingredients were very much available and for me wherever I go.
So you pre-planned and you were disciplined about your pre-planning, so you were able to follow. And I think in 2.5 months, you brought your HbA1c down to 6.8?
Absolutely, yeah. From 10.4 to 10.8 to 6.8. Yeah, it's almost like 4 points down.
Yeah, that is pretty miraculous, Uday. It is completely your commitment, and I think your wife plays a huge role in making sure you're disciplined about it.
Yeah. See, one thing I just want to suggest, don't, whatever the chart suggested by you, right, but don't take it granted. Follow, religiously. I think that's when you can see the result actually. So I made commitment to myself saying that I'll follow this religiously and every day, and that's where within a month I was able to see the HbA1c down from 10.8 to the 8.4. So
7.2. It came down to 7.2.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, yeah.
It came down to 7.2 within 30 days, and then now it has come down to 6.8.
6.8.
And I think this Diwali we are focusing that your type 2 diabetes without medication is going to get reversed, and you're going to be at 5.5.
I'm definitely confident, and this gives me because you can see the changes, right? You can see the changes, and gives me a lot of energy and hope actually that to come to office and work because of your health condition.
Yeah. So tell us the 2-3 positive changes that you are seeing. Our listeners who are struggling with type 2 diabetes would like to know.
Yes, see, number one, the most one is actually the peace of mind, mental peace or happiness, actually, because when you have this kind of type 2 diabetes, you always think, oh, something else will happen and all those things. But when you see the changes happening in your medical conditions, right, you feel you're mentally satisfied, you feel good. That is the most important thing that happened to me, right? Other thing is actually that, you also have you have this diet, you feel that you're eating healthy, right? I mean, till then you're eating all sort of junk food, and now you're back on the diet with eating healthy. That also makes you be happy with the life.
So you're nourishing yourself makes you feel more gratified.
Yeah.
And you also lost weight and gained some energy, right?
Yes. In last I think 2.5 months, actually, I lost almost 5 kgs.
Okay. And do you feel, despite losing the weight, do you feel higher energy versus the low energies that diabetics usually have?
No, initially, yes. Initially, I was a little bit of low on energy because the body was used to for all those sugar and carbs and all those things, right?
Right.
Now, after a month, actually, the body itself actually coped up with that diet, and now I feel better. I don't feel any weakness or any. I feel good now, actually.
So it took your body 1 full month to adjust to it, and till then you stuck on to it instead of giving up. And like you rightly said, you religiously followed the chart instead of, and I keep telling a lot of the patients who come to me, don't treat my charts like a restaurant menu, and don't keep asking me for these kind of options saying, can I eat this instead of that? Because everything works in combination with each other.
Correct, yeah.
Great, Uday. So we are hoping for a bumper Diwali for you because you have shown the consistent path of diabetes reversal without medication, protected your kidneys and increased your energy, decreased your weight, been in better health than ever before.
Yeah, I mean, yes, again, and thank you for, making me part of this, your diagnostic and making changes to my life. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much.
Me and my wife.
No, thank you so much because you are going to inspire, I would not say thousands, I would say lakhs of people out there who are struggling because there are just so many diabetics in India.
Yeah, especially in my field, right? The IT, we are in the software engineering IT field, right? A lot of people are, feeling this diabetes actually. So I think definitely this solution will definitely help a lot of people actually.
That's wonderful. Any message that you have for the listeners, for people struggling with diabetes?
No, only message actually, don't blindly go with the medication. Don't go with the medication. Find the alternative holistic approach with the diet, with the dietary restrictions actually. That will change everything.
Great. Thank you so much, Uday. And thank you for joining us from Bangalore.
Thank you, Rashna.
So that was Uday from Bangalore, an entrepreneur, technology entrepreneur who took the difficult path of going with nutritional and holistic changes to reverse his type 2 diabetes, and in the process reduced his risk of his kidneys getting damaged, reduced his risk of cardiovascular disease, reduced his risk of his eyes and feet getting damaged, and increased his chances at longevity. Listeners, for those of you who don't know, type 2 diabetes patients are actually at a higher risk for cancer, and so both Chef Roy and Uday have actually reduced their risk for cancer in the medium to long term by just taking charge of their lives with their lifestyle changes. These are the changes that you can also make, and in our show, we are going to show you ways how to make these changes on a consistent basis. I am your show host, Rachna Chachi, and I would welcome questions to come on my Instagram and Twitter and Facebook account, which is Rachna Restores. Please do inbox me questions on type 2 diabetes so that we can take them up in our future podcasts and help you overcome your type 2 diabetes. Until next time, stay healthy, sip on your green tea, take a few deep breaths and relax. So that was the extremely enlightened and soft-spoken Chef Roy and the focused and persistent Uday Nayak. Wonderful examples of discipline leading the way to a disease-free life. Like I said earlier, I have a barrage of questions on type 2 diabetes and I have time for only a few. Megha inboxed me on Instagram. My dad has type 2 diabetes and loves to eat his mangoes. I know that they're high in sugar, but can he eat them occasionally? What are the other fruits that he can have? Dear Megha, thank you for being a wonderful daughter. You are right, mangoes are extremely high in sugar, just like bananas, and should be avoided by diabetics. Other fruits that should not be had are watermelon, which also spikes sugar level, though very few people know about it. The best bets for your dad with low glycemic index are papaya, apple and pears. Abhay from Jaipur asked me, in carbohydrates, apart from avoiding the obvious stuff like white rice, white flour, sugar, desserts, what else can I avoid and what can I replace them with? Abhay, completely avoid corn and wheat as well, as they create sugar spikes. Since you are in Jaipur, your access to sugar-lowering carbohydrates like bajra is quite easy. Apart from that, a mix of quinoa and brown rice in 50-50 proportions will also reduce sugar spikes. Remember, all millets do not reduce sugar spikes, even though they may be gluten-free and healthy for normal people. So for you, if you are a diabetic, avoid jawar, ragi and only stick with bajra, quinoa and brown rice. Velu from Chennai emailed me asking, I have read that type 2 diabetes raises the risk of heart disease. How do I reduce my risk and protect my heart? Velu, that's a very pertinent question and thank you so much for asking. Yes, those with type 2 diabetes are prone to heart disease and those with heart disease are prone to type 2 diabetes. Changing your lifestyle to a heart-friendly one also makes it type 2 diabetes activity lower. The simple pillars of doing this are always combining vegetables with a protein to reduce sugar spikes and reducing the number of carbohydrates you eat in every meal, doing moderate exercise every single day, which means 45 to 60 minutes of moderate-paced walking, cycling, swimming, slow jogging, if your body permits slow jogging, that is. Otherwise, moderate-paced walking is also fine. And always remember that you may be following the best lifestyle on earth, but if you don't control your stress levels, you are going to get sugar spikes and you are going to get heart problems. Reducing stress is a step-by-step activity of changing how you eat, what breathing exercises and restorative yoga you are doing, and practicing gratitude. These things are difficult to incorporate all at once. Inbox us at Rachna Restores and we will specifically help you reduce your levels of HbA1c, which is the hemoglobin sugar levels, and make your heart healthier. On that note, I have time only to say goodbye and I will see you next week, same time, with our special episode on preventive health, where we are going to have two wonderful senior management professionals in our studio who will share with us how they changed the way they lived without a health scare so that they could have a higher quality of life. If you have any questions on preventing health issues or crisis, do inbox me on my Instagram, tweet to me on my Twitter or email me at Rachna Restores. And I am your host Rachna Chachi on Heal and Hearty, signing off for another week to heal patients streaming from across the world while you eat your vegetables and munch on your nuts.
How many times have you motivated yourself to improve your sleep or lose weight or be more productive? How many times have you failed? Hi, my name is Ashton Doctor. Tune into my show, The Habit Coach Podcast, where we focus on creating small, tiny habits to improve your life instead of those big, impossible tasks. So make listening to me a habit every Monday, Wednesday and Friday on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com or on your favorite podcasting app.
Did you know that Parsis in Mumbai, instead of being left at the Tower of Silence after they die, are now cremated? And why? Because a cow fell sick in the early 1990s. Did you know that the smog in Delhi is caused by something that farmers in Punjab do and that there's no way to stop them? Did you know that there wasn't one gas tragedy in Bhopal, but 3? One of them was seen, but 2 were unseen. Did you know that many well-intentioned government policies hurt the people they're supposed to help? Why was demonetization a bad idea? How should GST have been implemented? Why are all our politicians so corrupt when not all of them are bad people? I'm Amit Verma, and in my weekly podcast, The Seen and the Unseen, I take a shot at answering all these questions and many more. I aim to go beyond the seen and show you the unseen effects of public policy and private action. I speak to experts on economics, political philosophy, cognitive neuroscience, and constitutional law so that the insights can blow not only my mind, but also yours. The Seen and the Unseen releases every Monday. So do check out the archives and follow the show at seenunseen.in. You can also subscribe to The Seen and the Unseen on whatever podcast app you happen to prefer.